Saints, good morning. Please be seated. Oh my goodness, it's good to see you all today. Good to see you all. Yes, thank you for being here. Thank you, choir, Jasnam. Yes, it's a beautiful fourth Sunday in Eastertide. And it's also Mother's Day. And Mother's Day and the Good Shepherd Sunday coincide today in beautiful synchronicity. I had a couple of good shepherds in my life, and a little bit later I want to tell you about them. But yes, we honor and salute all of those this morning in whom the maternal spirit resides. A couple of lines stood out for me this morning in our readings. And one is from the gospel, the Good Shepherd gospel. And Jesus said, "I know my own and my own know me." So I want you to kind of put that into your head a little bit. And one from Revelation where John says, "And God will wipe every tear from their eyes." And God will wipe every tear from their eyes. So saints, when someone comes into our lives, we don't know whether they are the answer to our prayer or we perhaps are the answer to theirs. And when we meet someone, even for a very short period of time, in relationships that last for decades or relationships that last for seconds, we have the opportunity for our maternal spirit to shine forth in those times. I'd like to tell you a couple of short stories this morning that kind of illustrate that every birther is not necessarily a mother. And our mothers can exist in many, many ways, shapes, forms, sizes, and genders. So the first story is called Chuck Taylor. Chuck Taylor. Anybody here wore a pair of Converse All-Star sneakers? Yeah, Converse. Anybody still have them? Yeah, yeah. See, I know you did. I know you did. Chuck Taylor All-Stars. Boy, back in the day, there was nothing like a pair of Chucks. I got my first pair when I was 11, and I remember they were $9.95, and I remember my grandmother saying, "The day I pay $9 for a pair of sneakers," it will be, her exact words, "It'll be in a cold day in hell when I pay $9 for a pair of sneakers." So she made me a deal. So she said, "I'll pay half if you pay half." And so I worked, and I was cutting grass and delivering newspapers and doing things that 11-year-old kids did back then. And sure enough, I got my $4.50 together, and together we went down to Frost Spinner shoe store and got my first pair of Chuck Taylor All-Stars. Beautiful. So this story is kind of about that, and this story is about one of my mothers. I was raised by two different mothers, and they were very unique, and I think you'll see that today. So coming from a turbulent household like many of us did, our family was not the cookie cutter family that you saw on the TV shows of the time, like Leave It to Beaver and Father Knows Best and those. In fact, it was far from it. And in fact, most of the time, myself and my siblings just simply wanted to escape. So my escape was up to the basketball court, where I would play for hours and hours and hours, often by myself. And so this one day I was up there playing, and one of the nuns from the school came up and sat down on the bench and watched me for a minute. And finally she said, "Hey, do you mind if I play basketball with you?" I said, whoa. You know, for an 11-year-old boy playing basketball with a nun and being seen by your buddies playing basketball with a nun was pretty rough. But I didn't have a choice. What could I do? You know, she was the nun, so I had to say yes. So I said, yes, sister, of course. So she came out on the court, and she said, do you want to play some one-on-one? Okay. So I should have thought right then something was up, you know, because she started speaking court language. Like she said, okay, let's play one-on-one. Let's go to 11 by ones, make a taker. Whoa. And that means every time you score, you get the ball back. I should have known right then. She was a basketball player. But when I did know she was a basketball player is when she hiked up her skirt, and there was a pair of black Chuck Taylor And I remember she tied up her skirt with her rosary and said, let's play. So play we did. And I have to say, she blew past me on the left, she blew past me on the right. She had the jumper, she worked the post. The first game was 11-1. And it didn't get any better from there. So at the end of 3 games, she said, Joseph, why don't you come over and have a seat here on the bench with me? And I said, okay, sister, thank you. And her name was Sister Mary Virginia. And she was my 7th and my 8th grade teacher. So we sat there and talked on the bench for a while. And I said, sister, I got to ask you, where did you learn to play basketball like this? And she said, well, to be honest, I went to Immaculata College, and Immaculata College back in those days was a powerhouse in women's basketball. Their team was called the Mighty Macs, and she played 4 years as a starting guard for the Mighty Macs. And so I didn't feel so bad after that. Thank God nobody saw me getting beat. But you know, on that day, we began a relationship. We began a relationship that lasted for years. A maternal relationship. I learned so much from her, and she taught me so much. You know, not only did we play basketball together, not only was she my teacher and mentor, but she also became that maternal person that I needed. You know, she would take me to breakfast at the convent, and that was kind of weird too. I'm sitting there with 11 other nuns, and they're looking at me kind of strangely, and I'm looking at them kind of strangely. And finally, Sister Mary Virginia comes in and says, oh, I forgot to tell you, I invited Joseph for breakfast. I said, oh, okay, thank you. It was a little, but saints, my point is that I think she was the answer to my prayer for sure. Because at that time, I needed a mother. And she was it. She became it. You know, she taught me how to dance. She taught me how to pray. She's one of the reasons that I'm standing here before you today as a priest. She taught me all those things. And I think in return, I think perhaps she needed a son. She needed a son. So we never know when we're the answer to someone else's prayer. When we're the answer to someone else's prayer. The second story is called Duct Tape. Duct Tape. So as a young little leaguer, I hope I didn't tell you this one, but if I did, I did. As a young little leaguer, I was kind of a chonky kid, you know, and chonky kids always get to be catchers, right? Because you don't have to run very fast and you just kind of stay behind the plate. So I got all loaded up in my catcher's gear, and I got behind the plate. And one of the terrible habits I had was turning my head. And if you're trying to catch a ball, turning your head is not part of the program. So I would turn my head, and the ball would go to the backstop. Every time I would turn my head, and the ball would go to the backstop. It got so bad that my teammates started calling the position misser instead of catcher. Who's playing misser? Oh, it's Joe. Okay. Put my gear on. So it got to be really embarrassing, you know, and there was some bullying going on, and I'll never forget my coach, John Hennigan. My second mother, by the way, who is even a woman. And Coach Hennigan took me aside and he said, Joe, do you really want to be a catcher? I said, well, yeah, I do, Mr. Hennigan, but you know, I'm really afraid. I'm afraid of the ball. He said, okay. He said, so after the game, let's stay over. Yeah, I have some ideas. And so here we are after the game, and I see he goes to his truck and he takes a roll of duct tape out of his truck. He gets me in position, gets me behind the plate, and starts duct taping my mask to the back of my chest protector. So I couldn't move. I moved as a unit. I couldn't turn my head. I was frozen. And he simply and very gently stood before me with a baseball about this far away, tossed it like this, and hit me in the face mask. Oh, that's the other thing. He duct taped my hands to my side. And he took the ball and he just hit me so gently in the face mask. He said, how's that feel? I said, doesn't hurt. Okay. So he took a few steps back and he tossed another one and hit me in the face mask and said, how's that feel? Wow, didn't hurt. So anyway, he kept going back further and further till he's finally on the mound and he threw a 70-mile-an-hour fastball at me, hit me in the face mask and said, how does that feel? I said, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Didn't hurt. Maternal, right? Maternal. You know, he could have very much said, okay, Joe, you're not meant to be a catcher. We're going to put you out in the depths of right field, or we're going to let you, burn the bench for the season. I don't have time. I don't have time for this. But no, he didn't. He saw something in me that I didn't even see, and I needed him. He was my second mother. He was the one who spent time with me. Time. And every relationship is built on that. You know, it's built on time and truth and trust. Time and truth and trust. And those maternal relationships can be with anybody. And so those are just two examples of the two mothers in my life that helped make me who I am today. No, it doesn't hurt. Because I was protected. I was wrapped, not only in my catcher's gear, but I was wrapped in the love of John Hennigan. No, it doesn't hurt because I had a mother who was a nun, who has never had a child, who would never have a child. But I was her son. We never know if we're the answer to someone else's prayer or they're the answer to ours. Saints, on this Mother's Day, be the answer to someone else's prayer. These words are offered in the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.